The small rectangular piece of paper felt heavy in my hand, heavier than its weight. My heart thumped against my ribs, a frantic drumbeat against the silence of my office. I reread the words as if willing them to change. "We regret to inform you." The words blurred, the rest of the message fading into insignificance. I had lost my job. Panic clawed at my throat. Images flashed through my mind. Bills piling up, the mortgage payment looming, my daughter's school fees. How could I tell my wife, Amina? She wouldn't understand. She never understood the pressures of providing, the constant worry that gnawed at my insides. I walked home that day, each step weighed down by dread. The familiar streets seemed to mock me, the laughter of children playing a cruel reminder of the life I was struggling to maintain. As I approached our house, a wave of exhaustion washed over me. This was just the beginning of a long, arduous journey. And I had no idea how different, how challenging that journey would become.
Amina was in the living room, flipping through a magazine, her perfectly manicured nails tapping impatiently against the coffee table. She barely glanced up as Giang entered, her disinterest a familiar sting.
You're late.
I lost my job.
Silence. Amina lowered the magazine, her eyes widening slightly. For a moment, Giang dared to hope for a flicker of concern, a hint of empathy. But her reaction was swift, and it was brutal.
What do you mean you lost your job? How could you be so irresponsible?
Her words were like daggers, piercing through the fragile remnants of Giang's composure. He tried to explain, to reason with her, but she wouldn't listen. All she could see was her comfortable life, her social standing, slipping away. And she blamed him. That night, Giang lay awake, the weight of the world pressing down on him. The woman he loved, the woman he vowed to protect and provide for, had become a stranger. The next few days were a blur of anxiety and mounting despair. John exhausted every avenue, every contact, searching for a new job. But the city felt like a vast, indifferent labyrinth, swallowing his hopes with each passing day. Their savings dwindled with alarming speed. John knew they had to make drastic changes.
We need to sell the car.
Absolutely not. That car is my status symbol. It's the envy of all my friends. I won't have you selling it.
Amina, be reasonable. We need the money. We can't afford to be sentimental about a car right now.
But Amina was beyond reason. She accused John of being selfish, of not caring about her feelings. She stormed out of the room, leaving him feeling defeated and utterly alone. The car, it seemed, represented more than just transportation to her. It was a symbol of the life she refused to let go of, a life that was slipping further away with each passing moment. And John had no idea how to bridge the chasm that had opened up between them.
I was determined to find a solution, a way to salvage our situation. One scorching afternoon, as I walked home from another fruitless job interview, I spotted it, a brightly painted Danfo bus, its sides adorned with bold, colorful graphics. A sudden thought struck me. The Danfo buses were the lifeblood of Lagos, ferrying people to and fro, a chaotic yet efficient network of public transportation. What if I bought a used Danfo and hired a driver? It could be a source of income, a way to weather the storm until I found a new job. Excitement bubbled up inside me, a flicker of hope in the darkness. I approached the owner, a burly man with a gap-toothed grin, and inquired about the price.
We haggled for what felt like hours, the hot sun beating down on us, but finally, we struck a deal. It wasn't much, but it was a start.
I walked away, the agreement scribbled on a scrap of paper clutched tightly in my hand, feeling a surge of optimism I hadn't experienced in weeks. Maybe, just maybe, this could be our saving grace.
I couldn't wait to tell Amina about the Danfo. This, I was sure, would convince her that I was taking charge, that I had a plan. But her reaction was not what I expected.
A Danfo? You want to be a bus driver? What will people say? Don't you dare drag me down with you.
Her words stung, but I refused to let her negativity extinguish my newfound hope. I tried to reason with her, explaining that it was a temporary solution, a way to generate income. But she remained unconvinced, her face a mask of contempt.
You're delusional. This ridiculous idea will never work.
That night, as I lay in bed listening to Amina's even breathing, I felt a profound sense of loneliness wash over me. The woman I loved, the woman who had once been my partner, my confidant, was now a stranger, her heart hardened by pride and fear, and I knew then that I was truly on my own. The next morning, as if to add insult to injury, our car refused to start. The mechanic's verdict was swift and merciless: a blown head gasket, a costly repair we simply couldn't afford. Amina was devastated. Her precious car, her symbol of status, was gone. The irony was not lost on me. The very things she had clung to so fiercely, the things she had refused to sacrifice, had been taken from us anyway. But instead of offering comfort, I felt a surge of bitter satisfaction. Perhaps now, finally, she would understand the gravity of our situation. But Amina surprised me. Instead of collapsing into despair, she seemed to gather herself, a steely glint in her eyes.
What are we going to do?
It was the first time in weeks that she had acknowledged the direness of our situation. The first time she had turned to me, not with blame, but with a plea for help. And in that moment, I knew that something had shifted between us. With the car gone, Amina had no choice but to adapt. The life she had known, the life of leisurely lunches and shopping sprees, was over. She had to find a way to contribute, to pull her weight. At first, it was a struggle. Amina had never worked a day in her life, her days consumed by social engagements and maintaining her carefully cultivated image. The thought of her doing manual labor, of getting her hands dirty, was almost comical. But necessity, as they say, is the mother of invention. And Amina, to my surprise, rose to the challenge. She learned to cook and clean, tasks she had previously left to the house help. She even started taking in laundry from our neighbors, her once manicured nails chipped and calloused. It wasn't easy for her. I often found her in tears, frustrated and overwhelmed, but she persevered, her determination fueled by a newfound sense of purpose. And as I watched her transform, I felt a surge of pride. This was my wife, strong, resilient, capable of weathering any storm. The Danfo business, however, was not without its challenges. The competition was fierce, the roads treacherous, and the police, always on the lookout for a bribe, a constant source of stress. One evening, the unthinkable happened. The driver I had hired, a young man named Amika, was involved in a horrific accident. The details were sketchy, a blur of twisted metal and shattered glass. Amika didn't survive. I was devastated. Not only had I lost a valuable asset, but a young man had lost his life. Guilt gnawed at me, a constant reminder of the risks we were taking. I considered giving up, abandoning the whole endeavor. But then I looked at Amina, at the way she had transformed, the strength she had found in the face of adversity. I couldn't let her down. I had to keep going, for her, for our future. One hot afternoon, as I sat on our porch, lost in thought, I noticed Amina watching me, a strange expression on her face. She had a bowl in her hands, filled with a thick yellow paste.
Try this,
She said, offering me a spoonful. It was gari, a popular West African staple made from cassava. But this wasn't the ordinary bland gari I was used to. This gari was different. It was seasoned with spices, with a hint of sweetness, a burst of flavor that exploded in my mouth.
This is amazing. Where did you learn to make this?
Amina smiled, a rare sight these days.
I've been experimenting in the kitchen. I thought maybe we could sell it. People love gari, and this is special.
And so the idea for Amina's special gari was born. We started small, selling Amina's gari at the local market. Our little stall a burst of color and aroma in the bustling marketplace. Amina, once too proud to be seen in such a setting, now charmed customers with her infectious smile and her delicious gari. Word spread like wildfire. People couldn't get enough of Amina's special gari. We expanded our operation, hiring a few local women to help with production and sales. Our little gari business, born out of desperation, had become a roaring success. And with our success came a sense of peace, of stability we hadn't felt in months. The financial strain eased, replaced by a newfound sense of security. But more importantly, our struggles had forged a bond between us, stronger than ever before. Amina, once so focused on appearances, had discovered a strength and resilience she never knew she possessed. And I, stripped of my pride, had learned the true meaning of partnership, of weathering life's storms side by side. Looking back, I'm filled with gratitude for the journey, for the challenges that tested us, the hardships that brought us closer. We had lost so much, but in the process, we had found ourselves. Our story is a testament to the power of perseverance, of the indomitable human spirit. It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, hope flickers, waiting for a spark to ignite it. And sometimes, all it takes is a pink slip and a bowl of gari to discover the true meaning of success, of love, and of the extraordinary resilience of the human heart.